Communications Officer Kim Yuna rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the glowing screens in front of her. She had been working for 12 hours straight aboard the exploration ship Meridian's Edge, listening to the endless static of deep space. The ship was far from Earth, exploring the Kepler 442 system, where 3 distant suns painted the darkness in shades of red and gold. Most days were quiet out here. The radio waves carried nothing but cosmic noise, the background hum of dying stars and distant galaxies. But today was different. Today, her equipment was picking up something that made her heart race. "What is that?" she whispered to herself, adjusting the controls on her communication panel. The signal was faint, but definitely artificial. It pulsed with a rhythm that no natural phenomenon could create. The frequency was 847.2 terahertz, a bandwidth that humans rarely used. The signal was encrypted, wrapped in layers of complex mathematical patterns that her computer struggled to decode. But there was something else that bothered her. The encryption was too advanced, too sophisticated for any human technology. She knew. Yuna's fingers flew across the holographic keyboard as she tried to clean up the signal. The ship's artificial intelligence helped her filter out the cosmic background radiation, and slowly the transmission became clearer. What she heard made her blood turn cold. 2 distinct voices were speaking, but they were not human voices. The sounds were different. One speaker made clicking noises between words, while the other had a voice that seemed to vibrate like a tuning fork. The languages were completely alien, but the ship's translation system began working on them immediately. "Captain Lee Dong-yoon," Yuna called out, her voice shaking slightly. "You need to come here right now." Captain Lee was a veteran spacer who had spent 30 years exploring the galaxy. He had seen strange things before, but something in Yuna's voice made him drop what he was doing and hurry to her station. His weathered face showed concern as he looked at her instruments. "What do you have, Officer Kim?" he asked, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "An intercepted transmission, sir?" "But it's not from any human ship or station. The encryption patterns suggest military communications, and the languages are completely unknown to our databases." Captain Lee studied the waveform patterns on her screen. "How long have you been monitoring this?" "About 20 minutes, sir. The computer is still working on the translation, but I've managed to identify key phrases." Yuna pulled up a text window on her screen. "They keep mentioning something called the human problem." Dr. Park Ji-hoon, the ship's expert on alien life, appeared beside them. He was a thin man with intense eyes, who had dedicated his life to studying the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. "Did someone say alien languages?" he asked excitedly. "Listen to this," Yuna said, playing back a section of the transmission. The strange clicking and vibrating sounds filled the air around them. Dr. Park's excitement quickly turned to horror as he listened. "These are definitely 2 different species communicating with each other. The linguistic structures are completely different from anything in our databases." The ship's translation system chimed softly, indicating it had made progress. Words began appearing on the screen, translated from the alien languages into English. What they read made everyone in the room go silent. "Final solution to human expansion. Must be implemented before they develop further. Read one line. Earth coordinates confirmed. Colonial settlements identified. Strike force assembly point established." Captain Lee felt his stomach drop. "Are they talking about attacking us?" More translations appeared on the screen. Zephyrian Empire reports fleet readiness at 85%. Keth Collective confirms weapon systems operational. Human monitoring stations remain unaware of our presence. "They've been watching us," Yuna said quietly. "For how long?" Dr. Park was frantically taking notes. The conversation structure suggests this is an ongoing operation. They're not just planning to attack, they're already in the final stages of preparation. The transmission continued, and more disturbing details emerged. The aliens had been studying human settlements for decades, mapping their defenses and identifying key targets. They spoke of humans as if they were dangerous pests that needed to be eliminated before they could spread further into the galaxy. "Timeline confirmed," appeared another translated line. "Human elimination begins in 72 hours." All strike forces converge on Sol System and primary colonies simultaneously. Captain Lee grabbed the communication panel. Ah! Officer Kim, I need you to record everything. Every word, every signal pattern, everything. Already on it, sir? Yuna replied, her hands moving quickly across the controls. But Captain, there's something else. The signal strength suggests these ships are much closer than we thought. Maybe only a few light years away. Dr. Park looked up from his notes with fear in his eyes. If they're right about the timeline, Earth has less than 3 days before the attack begins. And nobody knows it's coming except us. The weight of their discovery settled on the 3 humans standing in the small communication room of their exploration ship. They were millions of miles from home, with information that could save or doom their entire species. The wrong frequency had revealed humanity's greatest nightmare. They were not alone in the universe. And their neighbors wanted them dead. Outside, the ship's windows, the stars looked the same as they always had. But now each point of light might hide an enemy fleet, closing in on humanity's unsuspecting worlds. For the next 12 hours, the crew of the Meridian's Edge worked without rest. Captain Lee had ordered all non-essential systems shut down so they could focus every bit of computing power on decoding the alien transmissions. The ship's mess hall had been converted into a makeshift intelligence center, with holographic displays showing star charts and decoded messages floating in the air like ghostly warnings. Kim Yuna had not left her communication station since the first signal arrived. Her eyes were red from staring at screens, but she refused to take a break. More alien frequencies were coming online every hour, and each one revealed new horrors about humanity's situation. "Captain," she called out, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "I've got something big. Really big." Captain Lee rushed over to her station, followed by Dr. Park and Lieutenant Commander Choi Mingi, the ship's tactical officer. Choi was a serious woman who had spent years studying military strategy, and her face was grim as she looked at the new data. "What is it, Yuna?" Captain Lee asked. "It's not just to alien species," Yuna said, pointing to different signal patterns on her screen. "I've identified 12 distinct communication protocols. 12 different alien civilizations, all coordinating together." Dr. Park felt his legs go weak. 12. That's impossible. It's the statistical probability of 12 species working together. Look. At this, Choi interrupted, manipulating the holographic display to show a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red dots appeared at various locations, each representing an alien fleet. They're positioned around every major human settlement. Earth, New, Geneva Colony, Kepler Station, Mars Base, the mining operations in the Centauri system they know about. All of them. The translation computers had been working continuously, and now they had enough data to understand the full scope of the alien plan. Captain Lee read the decoded messages aloud, his voice growing more troubled with each word. "Human. Species classified as Category 5 extinction risk," he read from one transmission. "Rapid technological advancement combined with aggressive expansion patterns make them unsuitable for galactic coexistence." "What does Category 5 mean?" Yuna asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. Dr. Park pulled up the alien classification. "A system that the computers had decoded. It's the highest threat level in their system. Category 5 means total elimination is the only acceptable solution." Another message appeared on the screen, this one from what appeared to be a military commander. "Human monitoring has continued for 67 Earth years. Subject species shows dangerous unpredictability. Diplomatic contact rejected as too risky." 67 years, Captain Lee repeated. "You've been watching us since before I was born." Joyce studied the tactical data that was slowly being revealed. "Look at their positioning. This isn't a simple attack. It's a coordinated extermination campaign. They're planning to hit every human world simultaneously, so none of us can warn the others or send help." The alien fleets were massive. Each of the 12 species had contributed warships, creating a combined force that dwarfed anything humanity had ever assembled. The Zephyrian Empire alone had positioned over 300 vessels near Earth's solar system. "Here's what really scares me," Yuna said, pulling up another set of decoded messages. "They're not just planning to attack our military targets. They want to eliminate every human in the galaxy. every man, woman, and child. One particularly chilling transmission spoke of biological sterilization protocols and planetary surface cleansing procedures. The aliens had developed weapons specifically designed to kill humans while leaving the planets themselves habitable. For future colonization, they've been planning this for decades, Dr. Park said, reading through the historical communications. Every time we made a technological breakthrough, every time we established a new colony, they were taking notes. They know our capabilities better than we do. The tactical display showed the alien timeline. In less than 60 hours, the first wave of attacks would begin. The aliens had chosen their timing carefully. They would strike during a period when human military forces were spread thin across the galaxy, conducting routine patrol missions. "There's something else," Choi said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They've been feeding us false information. Some of our exploration missions over the past few years, the ones that found uninhabited systems, those systems weren't empty. The aliens were hiding there watching us." Captain Lee felt anger rising in his chest. Humanity had been exploring the galaxy with open hearts, hoping to find friends among the stars. Instead, they had found enemies who had been plotting there. Destruction for generations. "Sir," Yuna said, new urgency in her voice, "I'm detecting movement on the alien frequencies. Fleet commanders are reporting to their home systems. The operation is beginning." The holographic display updated in real time, showing alien vessels starting to move toward their attack positions. Hundreds of ships were accelerating toward human space, their weapons charged and ready for genocide. "We're the only ones who know," Captain Lee said, the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. "Every human in the galaxy is going about their normal lives, completely unaware that 12 alien civilizations are about to try to wipe us out." Now, Dr. Park looked at the star charts showing Earth's peaceful blue dot, surrounded by red markers indicating incoming enemy fleets. What do we do? How do we warn everyone in time? Outside their small ship, the galaxy had become a very dangerous place. Humanity's children were about to learn that the universe was not the friendly place they had hoped it would be. "Captain." Lee stood in the center of the ship's command bridge, staring at the holographic display that showed 12 alien fleets moving toward human space like a closing fist. His hands were steady, but inside his heart was racing. The fate of every human being in the galaxy now depended on the next few minutes. "Officer Kim," he said, his voice cutting through the tense silence, "prepare for Protocol Omega transmission." Kim Yuna looked up from her station with wide eyes. Protocol Omega was something every communications officer learned about during training, but none of them ever expected to use it. It was the ultimate emergency signal, a quantum burst transmission that would instantly reach every human military installation in known space. "Sir, Protocol Omega requires command authorization from 2 senior officers," she said, her fingers hovering over the controls. Lieutenant Commander Choi Minji stepped forward without hesitation. "I confirm the authorization. This is exactly what Protocol Omega was designed for." "Transmission authorized," Captain Lee said firmly. "Send it now." Yuna's hands moved quickly across the quantum communication array. The ship's entire power grid, dimmed as massive amounts of energy were channeled into a single, powerful transmission that would travel faster than light to every corner of human space. "Protocol Omega activated," the ship's computer announced in its calm, electronic voice. "Emergency quantum burst transmission initiated. All human military installations will receive the signal in approximately 4 minutes. Those 4 minutes felt like hours. The crew of the Meridian's Edge watched their instruments, knowing that they had just triggered the largest military mobilization in human history, somewhere in the dark between the stars. Their message was racing toward Earth at impossible speeds. On Earth, Admiral Han Soo-young was enjoying a quiet morning coffee in her office, overlooking the Seoul Defense Fleet headquarters. "I'd been commanding Earth space defenses for 15 years, and most days were routine. Ships came and went. Patrols reported nothing unusual. The galaxy seemed peaceful. Then every alarm in the building began screaming at once. Admiral," Commander Ru Taeyong burst through her office door. "We have a Protocol Omega. Transmission from the exploration vessel Meridian's Edge." Admiral Han dropped her coffee cup. In all her years of service, she had never seen a Protocol Omega signal. Let's put it on the main screen immediately. The decoded message appeared on the wall display, and Admiral Han felt her blood turn to ice. 12 alien civilizations, coordinated attack, 72 hours until extermination begins. The intelligence was detailed, specific, and terrifying. "Get me confirmation from our deep space monitoring stations," she ordered, her military training taking over. "I want to know if this is real." Within minutes, reports began flooding in from human outposts across the galaxy. The Centauri station reported unusual energy signatures moving toward their system. The Vega colony detected multiple unidentified vessels approaching from the galactic rim. The mining operations in the Tau Ceti system had lost contact with their outer sensor drones. "It's real," Commander Ru reported, his face pale. "The alien fleets are moving, just like the message describes." Admiral Han stood up, her mind already shifting into war mode. "Implement Operation Bright Dawn. All fleet commanders, all defense platforms, all military assets are to report combat readiness within 1 hour." On Mars Station, General Nam Juan was in the middle of a training exercise when the Protocol Omega signal reached him. He was a tough man who had spent his career preparing for the worst possible scenarios, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. "Cancel all training operations," he commanded his staff. "Activate the hidden defense installations. All of them." For decades, human military planners had been secretly preparing for the possibility of alien contact going wrong. Hidden weapons. Platforms had been built in asteroid fields. Cloaked defense stations orbited every major colony. Underground bunkers on Earth contained enough weapons and supplies to fight a war for years. "Sir, the Omega Protocol is activating defense systems I didn't even know existed," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Park Sun-ho. "They were classified above your clearance level," General Nam replied, "but not anymore. Today, everyone gets to see what we've really been building out here, across human space." Military commanders who had spent years following routine peacetime procedures suddenly found themselves implementing plans that had been carefully hidden from the public. Ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels revealed themselves to be heavily armed cruisers. Research stations activated weapon systems that had been secretly installed years earlier. Captain Oh Hin-woo, commanding the battleship Indomitable, received his orders while patrolling the outer edge of the Sol system. His ship was officially classified as a heavy cruiser, but its true capabilities were known only to a handful of senior officers. "All crew to battle stations," he announced. Over the ship's intercom, "This is not a drill. We are now at war with 12 alien civilizations who want to eliminate humanity." The crew of the Indomitable had trained for this moment their entire careers, but hearing the words spoken aloud made it real in a way that no simulation could match. They were about to fight for the survival of their species. Back aboard the Meridian's edge, Captain Lee watched as responses began coming in from across human space. Every military installation was reporting combat readiness. Hidden fleets were powering up their weapons. Defense platforms that had been silent for years were suddenly active. "Look at this," Dr. Park said, amazement in his voice. "Humanity has been preparing for this possibility all along." The galaxy was about to discover that humans were not the helpless prey the aliens believed them to be. The first alien fleet to encounter human defenses was the Zephyrian Advance Force, led by Fleet Commander Zixtal. I had studied human military capabilities for decades and was confident that his 300 warships would easily overwhelm any resistance. The humans were primitive, their weapons crude, their tactics predictable. "Initiate attack sequence," Zixtal commanded from his flagship as they approached the outer edge of human space. "Target their communications arrays first. We must prevent them from calling for help." His sensors showed what appeared to be a single human vessel drifting in the darkness ahead. The ship was smaller than his smallest destroyer, and its energy signatures were barely detectable. Zixtal almost felt sorry for the humans. This would be over quickly. The human ship was the Indomitable, commanded by Captain Oh Hin-woo. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary patrol vessel, but its true nature was about to be revealed. Captain Oh stood calmly on his bridge, watching the massive alien fleet approach. "All stations report ready. announced his tactical officer. Lieutenant Yoon Murray. Quantum disruption cannons charged and locked onto target. Fire, Captain O said simply. The Indomitable unleashed weapons that no alien intelligence had ever seen before. Beams of pure energy tore through space, striking 3 Zephyrian cruisers simultaneously. The alien ships didn't just explode. They seemed to collapse in on themselves, their matter being torn apart at the quantum level. Impossible, Zixtel shouted, as his sensors tried to process what had just happened. Human technology cannot do this. But the Indomitable was already moving, its engines propelling it at speeds that defied everything the aliens knew about human capabilities. The ship seemed to flicker in and out of existence, teleporting short distances to avoid the alien return. Fire, sir, his communications officer reported. I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout this sector. There are more human ships here than our intelligence indicated. From seemingly empty space, dozens of human vessels began appearing. They had been cloaked using technology that the aliens had never encountered. Each ship was armed with weapons. That made the Zephyrian fleet's guns look like toys on Earth. Admiral Han Suyang watched the battle unfold on her tactical displays. The alien fleet that had been approaching with such confidence was now scattered and confused, trying to fight an enemy that seemed to appear and disappear at will. Phase 2 is active, she announced to her command staff. Signal our special forces units. It's time to show these aliens what humans can really do. Light years away, on the alien homeworld of Zephyria, Lieutenant Colonel Yoon Jisu crouched. In the shadows of the planet's primary military shipyard, she had been hiding there for 3 months, along with her team of 12 special operations soldiers. The aliens had no idea that humans had been infiltrating their most secure facilities. Demolition charges are in position, she whispered into her communicator, waiting for your signal. Signal came as a single word: execute. Explosions erupted across the Zephyrian homeworld as human sabotage teams simultaneously struck dozens of military targets. Shipyards that had been building warships for the invasion were reduced to twisted metal. Communications centers went dark. Weapons factories disappeared in balls of fire. Similar attacks were happening on 11 other alien worlds. For years, human intelligence had been secretly placing operatives throughout alien space, preparing for exactly this moment. The aliens had been so focused on watching human settlements that they had never noticed the humans watching them. Chief Engineer Kwan Sunjo, now coordinating the defense from a hidden command center beneath Earth's surface, smiled grimly as he watched the alien confusion unfold. They thought we were primitive, he said to his staff. They were wrong. The human defense systems were revealing themselves to be far more advanced than anything the aliens had imagined. Artificial intelligence programs that had been learning and adapting for decades began predicting alien tactics before the aliens themselves knew what they were going to do. Their plasma weapons are being neutralized by our adaptive shields, reported Dr. Park, who was now working with the main defense fleet. Every shot they fire teaches our computers how to defend against the next one. The Keth Collective, approaching from the Galactic Rim, found themselves facing a phenomenon they couldn't understand. Human ships were moving faster than light in short bursts, jumping from one position to another in battle. Their weapons seemed to bend the laws of physics, creating miniature black holes that swallowed entire alien squadrons. How is this possible? Demanded Keth, Commander Velinara, as she watched her fleet being torn apart by a force half its size. Our intelligence reports indicated that humans were centuries behind us in technology. What she didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this war for generations. Every technological advance, every scientific breakthrough, every military development had been guided by the knowledge that someday they might have to fight for their survival against vastly superior numbers. The alien fleets, which had been so confident in their overwhelming superiority, found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. Human ships appeared where they were least expected, struck with impossible precision, and disappeared before the aliens could respond. In the depths of space, 12 alien civilizations were learning a harsh lesson about the species they had dismissed as primitive. Humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to prepare for the unthinkable and turn apparent weakness into devastating strength. The final battle began at exactly 0800 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Admiral Han Su-young stood in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface, surrounded by holographic displays showing 12 different star systems where human and alien forces were about to clash. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her eyes held the cold determination of someone who had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. "This is Admiral Han to all human forces." She spoke into the communication array that would carry her voice to every human ship in the galaxy. "Execute Operation Checkmate. Del. Show them what happens when they threaten our families." Across the galaxy, human fleets that had been waiting in hidden positions suddenly revealed themselves. Aliens had expected to find scattered defensive forces trying to protect individual worlds. Instead, they found themselves facing a coordinated offensive that struck at the heart of their invasion plan. Captain Ohinwu led the main assault force against the Zephyrian, his Empire's command fleet. His ship, the Indomitable, had been joined by 50 other vessels that had appeared from nowhere. Aliens watched in horror as the human fleet moved with perfect coordination, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. "Target their flagship," Captain O ordered. "To end there." Command structure. The Zephyrian fleet commander Zixtel saw the human ships approaching and realized with growing terror that everything his species had believed about humanity was wrong. Humans weren't defending, they were attacking, and they were winning. Request. "Immediate reinforcements," he shouted to his communications officer. "We need help." But help was not coming. On Zephyria, Lieutenant Colonel Yoon Jisoo and her sabotage teams had destroyed the planet's ability to communicate with its fleets. The same thing was happening on 11 other alien worlds. Human special forces had been planning this operation for years, and now they were executing it with perfect precision. Back on Earth, Kim Yuna sat at her news station in the Intelligence Command Center. She was no longer just a communications officer. She had been promoted to head of Alien Intelligence Operations. The truth about the intercepted transmission was finally being revealed. "The frequency we discovered 3 days ago," she explained. To Captain Lee, who had been brought to Earth for debriefing, it wasn't an accident. "We've been monitoring alien communications for 15 years. We left that frequency open deliberately." Captain Lee's eyes widened. "You mean we knew they were planning to attack us?" "We knew they were watching us," Yuna replied. "We've been feeding them false information about our capabilities for decades. Every time they thought they learned something about human technology, we were actually showing them what we wanted them to see." The alien coalition had based their entire invasion plan on intelligence that was completely wrong. They thought human ships were slow and clumsy. They thought human weapons were primitive. They thought human defenses were weak and scattered. They were wrong about everything. In the Centauri system, General Nam Giwan watched as the Keith, Galacta's main fleet, was systematically destroyed by human forces that seemed to appear from empty space. The aliens had never developed stealth technology, so they couldn't understand how humans could make entire fleets invisible. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the alien fleet is requesting permission to surrender." "Denied," General Name replied. Coldly, "They came here to commit genocide. They don't get to surrender when they realize they're losing." The battle was not just about military victory, it was about sending a message to the entire galaxy. Humanity would not be the victim of anyone's extinction plans. Captain O's fleet had surrounded the Zephyrian command ship. The alien flagship was massive, 3 times the size of any human vessel. But it was helpless against the quantum disruption weapons that were tearing it apart piece by piece. This is Fleet Commander Zixtel, came a desperate transmission from the alien ship. "We request immediate ceasefire. We wish to negotiate terms of surrender." Captain O looked at the alien vessel that had come to destroy his home, his family, his entire species. "Surrender denied. You wanted to exterminate us. You get to experience what that feels like." The Indomitable fired its main guns, and the Zephyrian flagship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the surface of nearby planets. One by one, the alien fleets fell. The Keth Collective lasted barely an hour before their survivors fled back to their home system. The Altarian Federation managed to destroy 2 human ships before being completely annihilated. The other 9 alien species fared no better. By the end of the day, 12 alien civilizations had learned that humanity was not the helpless prey they had believed. The species they had dismissed as primitive had outmaneuvered them, fought them, and outthought them at every turn. In the aftermath, Admiral Han established the new Galactic Defense Protocol. Human fleets would patrol the galaxy, ensuring that no alien species would ever again be able to threaten humanity's survival. Kim Yuna returned to her monitoring station. But now she was watching hundreds of alien communication frequencies. The defeated species were transmitting desperate messages to their allies, warning them about the terrible mistake they had made. "Let them try to surprise us again," she said quietly, adjusting her headset as she listened to the fearful chatter of alien civilizations who had learned that humans were not to be underestimated. Humanity had won its first galactic war, not through superior numbers or technology, but through superior planning. They had turned the aliens' own arrogance against them, and the galaxy would never be the same.